All right, what's up, everyone? Today is Tuesday, November the 27th, 2018, and it is a chilly 25 degrees here in Southwest Virginia. So wherever you are, if it's cold, I hope you're staying warm today, and if it is warmer than here in Southwest Virginia's 25 degrees, I'm a little jealous of you. So let's get into today's recap. Another really interesting day. I found today to be really interesting, and here's why. So let's go into the market. So we saw another really bullish day, close it at the high of the day, okay? And importantly, we kept challenging this 9 EMA today. So we kept challenging, and we closed right at it. So we closed right at this 9 EMA. And so really what's going to be fascinating to see is if we what happens here, if this 9 EMA is going to act as some level of resistance, because you can see here we closed near it there. We tried to close near it there as well, and we weren't able, and this 9 EMA just bounced the spiders down. And so we had a number of really bearish candles, and then we have some quite bullish candles right here on these 2 days, and we're seeing this. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Okay, going to be really interesting to see what happens here in the spiders. All right, so let's go to our Qs. All right, here in the Qs, very similar thing happened today. So we're right at that 9 EMA, but unlike the spiders, we didn't close at the high of the day. Now, for those of you that are paid members of Sell That Option, you know that I'm also playing this trend line here in the Qs, and I have positions betting against this trend line, us not moving past it, and we're getting ready to see this death cross again. We are now right above $1 difference here in this. What is that? $1.19. We have a $1.19 difference between our 50 moving average and our 200 moving average. And so I still think, even after two very, very bullish candles, I still think that the bears are in control, right? I think the long-term trajectory here is that the bears are indeed in control here. Let's go here to our diamonds, and you see another really bullish day, okay, but I still think the general trend is down. We have a little bit more room. We didn't challenge this 9 EMA, so importantly, we didn't challenge this 9 EMA here. So yeah, I think that while we've had two very bullish days, I think thinking longer term, our bears are still in control. And then we get to our leading indicator, right? So, or our leading indice. What did we had? We had a red day. We had a red day of almost a percentage. Okay, and so the IMW, the Russell 2000, which tends to be our leading indice, is down and had a pretty bearish candle, right? And so this candle looks similar to what we saw today in some of our others, but then we saw a challenge up here all the way to 149.75, 80-ish, but then we closed almost a dollar down, okay? And so is this going to continue to be a leading? So we saw leading. Is this going to be a leading day? And again, all of this trend, this longer term trend, is down. And so I am still a little bearish based on the longer term trend, but it would not surprise me to see a couple of stronger days, even still. But I do think our trends are down. Let's take a look at the VIX here. This is also really, really interesting. Okay, so let me bring this up, and I'll show you why I'm interested in the VIX. Okay, so even though our spiders were up, right, so was VIX. Okay, and so this is a divergence that I think is worth really paying attention to when we're thinking about the markets over the next couple of weeks, is because typically when we see the spiders up, right, and the spiders were up 3/4 of a percentage point, okay, so 3/4 of a percentage point, or 90 cents. Typically we're going to see the VIX down, right? And so we did not see that. We saw it gap down, or gap up and then close lower, which is why you see this red candle, but it was still up 12 cents. Okay, and so that's telling us that there's still a little bit more volatility in the market than perhaps would otherwise have been indicated. And so I think volatility wasn't buying, right? It was not buying this candle. It was not buying this update because volatility was up. Okay. This was a day where it looks like contango maybe got us here in VXX because we also see a divergence up 0.6%, down almost 2% here in the VXX. And as we know, these tend to work with each other rather than in opposite directions. Okay, so the major markets I think are mixed. Still longer term bearish here on the markets, even though, again, it would not surprise me if we saw a couple of up days. And based on volatility here, based on this, I just don't think that our volatility players and our VIX indice and our options, right, because the VIX is a derivative of options on the SPY, I don't think that folks were buying this particular update today. All right, let's go to a couple of really interesting charts. Okay, first one we're going to talk about is oil. Okay, so let me get USO up right here. Okay, so this right here is a super, super interesting position, okay, or seeing oil right here. I think that we're going to see this be the floor for a while, okay? I don't know that it's the floor for a long time, but I am planning on adding some positions here in oil, and I might even go long stock here. Okay, I might even add a starter position as soon as I see, right? As soon as I see this whole moving average. Okay, so we are in oversold, and we have been in oversold since $14, right? Since it was worth $14. So we've seen that it's been oversold. And I think as soon as the whole moving average, I'm probably going to in some way go long here. Okay. Now, this is certainly not a recommendation. I'm not a financial advisor, and so I cannot recommend. Only your financial advisor can advise. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking about doing, and that is playing off of this whole moving average. Okay, you can see here that typically when the whole moving average changes color from purple to blue or blue to purple, we tend to see at least a decent move here, and certainly one that you can at least trade, or that I feel comfortable trading. There are going to be some where it just doesn't work out, but I think we've seen such a prolonged move up here from $16.24 all the way to $10.64, $5.60, that I think that it's worth certainly worth us looking at. Okay, so oil is very interesting to me. Oil and all of its derivatives, whether that's XOP, that's XLE, OIH. And if you are a member of Sell That Option, you know that we have positions in OIH, we have positions in USO, we have positions in XOP. And so seeing about certainly wouldn't be a terrible thing, but I think, and everyone knows I like to tend to trade neutrally. I think that because of this right here, this little thing, it certainly just piques my interest. Okay, EWZ is also worth taking a look at. Really interesting candle here. 4%, 4.3% up $1.60. So not quite sure what that means for the trajectory here of EWZ, but it is at least worth mentioning here that it had a really, really strong day. Other than that, not a ton of movement. You see GDX with a little bit of movement, but GDX has been pretty volatile with some of its candles, 19.9 to 19. Here we saw 19.30 to 18.87, and so we've seen some pretty volatile candles in the miners. Okay, so let's move to some stocks of interest. It's one of the things that I always have. I have a variety of different watch lists that I maintain here in Thinkorswim, but I find that I don't need a subscription to stock charts or anything like that because I do have I do have Thinkorswim, which is so powerful. So stocks of interest. Let's go to Apple first. So let's bring up Apple. So Apple's been getting hit pretty hard from 233 to what's this low here of right at 170. Interesting. Looks like it hit right near 170. I might pull up that intraday chart to take a look at that later as a level of support. Really, at just an even number. But here we go. So even though Apple was down on the day here at 38, looks like we might have found buyers. Really, really significant candle here. And then we saw a pretty large real body here where we saw a gap down. Right? So we saw a gap down and then we almost closed here up at the high of the day, which is statistically kind of important, you know. So it'll be interesting to see if Apple continues to find buyers. Facebook here has been up, right? Low, 52-week low. It's jumped about $10 since then. You have Amazon again. Amazon's so crazy because in just these 5 trading days, it's moved $100, which is nuts. And then today it moved 9 cents, which is pretty crazy. I just wanted to showcase this real quick for those of you all that might be interested. This was today's one of, if not the largest mover. I have no idea what ASNS does, but it did move from an opener at 137 all the way up to 412 for a total of 255%. Crazy day today. I do know that this is likely a pump and dump, some type of penny stock chat room pump and dump, where a lot of people are going to get left losing a lot of money in this. I totally stay away from these kind of pump and dumps, just because, you know, I mean they're garbage. They are utter garbage. So I don't know what it does, but it was up 255 today, 255%. But I know that I am staying away. So there's just a couple stocks of interest: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, ASNS. I always keep Ford up here. I like to trade Ford too. But really the most interesting thing were our markets, major market indicators. So pay attention to that, and then also pay attention, really pay attention to oil. I think there's some opportunities there in oil as well. All right, so that is it for today. Lengthier video, but a lot to go over. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me at Ryan, RYAN, @sellthatoption.com. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to talk about them with you. And as always, stay humble, stay hungry, and here's to our success.